Some instruments are good for playing live. Others are good for recording. And I have it in my head that there's a third category, an instrument whose only purpose is to help you write music, a songwriting guitar. For about 10 years, every song I wrote was written on this Ibanez hollow body. Then, about a year ago, I built this bass guitar, which only has 2 strings, and I've written a number of songs on that. In fact, the only problem I have with it is that I need to be plugged into an amp in order to write songs, which is not very convenient. So that's why, today, I've decided to build another instrument. It will be similar to this, but it's going to be acoustic. This neck has been kicking around my workshop for the better part of 2 years. I think its time has finally come. My plan is to use this wooden puzzle box as a resonating chamber. It should be perfect. I want this instrument to be acoustic, but I don't want it to be very loud. Since the neck already has holes for tuners, I'm going to install those first. Of course, I soon discover that the holes are not big enough, so I end up having to drill anyway. The actual installation is pretty straightforward. Here's what they look like when they're done. Next, I have to figure out how the neck's actually going to attach to the body. My plan is to cut a hole on either side of the box and just kind of thread it through. Another challenge is the pickup. Even though I'm going to be playing this mostly as an acoustic, I still want the possibility of using it with an amplifier. The problem is, if the neck is going to go all the way through the instrument, it's going to be in the way of that pickup. So I guess I have to kind of carve space for it. You can see here how the neck fits in with the body. You'll notice I've cut sort of a trough into the wood. I have a thin piece of plywood that I'm going to use as the top of this guitar, and hopefully that trough will allow the top to actually vibrate a bit, which is what you want with an acoustic instrument. Here I've cut some more holes, 1 for the pickup and 2 for the knobs. It's not supposed to look like a face, it just does. I'm going to attach strings before I actually finish putting the lid together. Hopefully that way I'll know if there's something wrong. Okay, time to put it together. First, we'll put the pickup in. By this point, we've got the knobs in, and it's just a question of attaching the top. That's promising. Okay, let's give this a shot. Okay, so I'm back in my studio, and I've got the guitar right here, and I just tried it out, and it's terrible. It's completely, unplayable. Actually, that's not quite true. The neck feels great. The problem is that the notes don't ring out. It's as though I had put like a sponge or something instead of a bridge. So I need to go back down to the workshop and try to figure out what's going on. Okay, so I've taken it apart again, and I figured out what the problem is. The board that I used as the top for this is so thin, it's actually bending from the pressure of the strings, and that's causing it to rub up against the neck. The solution is to make a new lid. This one also looks like a face. Aside from being white, this new lid is double the thickness of the old one. I'm also probably going to put a sound post to give it some more structural support. I'm getting quite good at taking this thing apart and putting it back together again. Not exactly a transferable skill. One thing I'm going to do differently this time is I'm going to try to use a proper bridge. I'm lucky that 3-string bridges are actually really easy to come by nowadays. Let's try this thing out again. Okay, I'm back in my studio. The guitar is plugged in, as you can see. Let's give it a spin. So yeah, it plays pretty well. I think it actually sounds pretty good through the amp too. Of course, I won't know how useful this instrument is for me until I actually try to record a song with it. So that's what we're going to try to do next. Okay, I'm going to set up a rock beat in Ableton. Often when I'm trying to work out an idea, I'll just hit record and let the mics pick up whatever I come up with. Okay, I'm going to write some dummy lyrics so that I can sing something over these 2 notes. Walking alone, holding my phone, out of my depth, nobody home. Now that I've got a verse, I need to figure out a chorus. I have an idea that would actually start on the same chord that the verse ends on, which would mean a slight key change. The chorus is going to start on this chord. People. I'm going to go with a halftime drum beat. Okay, I have a little more work to do. I'm going to double these vocals and I'm going to add some distortion to the chorus, but I think we've proven that this instrument can be used to write a song. It's silly, but I used to think there was a kind of unknowable sorcery that made some instruments just so much better for writing songs, but I actually don't think it's magic at all. For me, a large part of writing songs is coming up with melodies. I play a chord and then I hear in my head what the vocals will do. Some instruments just get in the way of that. For example, my steel string acoustic sounds beautiful, but the sound is too rich, too full of harmonics, leaving me no room to imagine a melody. By contrast, this hollow body, and now this box guitar, are both pretty quiet. I can hear them, I can tell what the chord is, but there's plenty of room for me to sing something else over it, and I think that's what makes them work so well for this purpose. If you enjoyed this video, it'd be great if you could give it a thumbs up. Also, if you've not yet subscribed, I've got a bunch of new videos in the works. By the way, I've sampled this box guitar and turned it into a decent sampler instrument. That is now available to patrons. Speaking of which, the Patreon is just $5 a month, and every month you get an exclusive sample library just for patrons. Also, the song I wrote in this video is now available on Bandcamp, and there's a link to that in the description to this video. Okay, I think that's it. See you soon. I'll leave you with the finished chorus to that song.